Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, sexy time is here. That's right. We're talking about 1987's Fatal Attraction on Kill by Kill After Dark. Well, greetings and salutations, and it's your old pal Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from the mean, cutthroat streets of New York City. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, but of course it's After Dark. That's where we talk about erotic thrillers in the hopes that someone who commits suicide and then tries to blame it on somebody else, but then, wouldn't you know it, she left a tape explaining the whole thing for you to find in his Filofax. We hope that we could laugh at them, I guess. If you feel the need to. It is a tragedy, a sexy tragedy. Anyways, there's only one person I trust that if I ask her to pick up my kid from school, she definitely won't take him on a roller coaster that will scare the living hell out of him. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
Well, I wouldn't, because I don't like roller coasters either. But you know, bumper cars,
sure.
Stuff like that, definitely.
That's more your speed.
Yeah.
Excellent. My kiddo's finally in the roller coaster range where he actually enjoys it now.
Well, he can have fun with that.
He can have fun with it. It is more of an endurance test for me now, though. we went past where it probably would have been fun, where now I'm kind of like, oh man, am I going to be all right doing this?
Well, it's like you don't realize how much those things throw you around until you get up and you're like, oh God, my back. Where you're kind of like, you stand up, like the lightning bolts come out of your back, like a Dones commercial. And people think they stepped on peanut shells or something, and it's just your back cracking.
I got up from bed the other night and my hip popped, and Becky's like, what the hell was that? I'm like, oh, that came from my body. That's my body did that.
My hip just turned to dust.
Just became a mummy right in front of me. What were we talking about again? Oh, that's right. Perhaps the best quote unquote erotic thriller of all time, Fatal Attraction. We kind of had this in the back of our heads as how we would say goodbye for now to After Dark. Although After Dark will not be ignored, Gina.
We don't want our fans to kidnap our children.
No.
Or to show up at our house at inopportune times. Right. Or to murder our pets.
Nope. We'd rather not. Or dress our children like an out-of-work Oompa Loompa. What is going on with that kid? For the back half of the movie,
poor child.
It looks like she's wearing a padded suit underneath her clothes.
She's got a very unflattering haircut for a small child. It's like, maybe we want her to be a little boy? Maybe?
I don't know. They got clothes. They give me some child's clothes, and they're like, "Well, we cast a girl," and they're like, "Well, gender norms don't mean anything. It's 1987. Everyone will accept this." It also, the turtleneck that she's in is not helping. It looks like it's deflated. Like at one point, it was blown up like a balloon, and now it's just around her neck.
Yeah, and yet I feel that these are very specific choices, because the best word to describe this movie, other than very good, it's a very good movie.
It is an excellent movie.
It is very stylish. It might be. I think it might be. If you're not counting movies that are kind of associated with the 80s, like your Star Warses, your ETs, your Breakfast Club.
Sure.
This might be the most 80s movie of the entire decade. Yeah. It just, the message it's giving and how it looks. I guess you call her the antagonist.
I have a theory about that. We'll get to it.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. But she lives in a spectacular loft apartment.
Yes,
that was very much for a while associated with a very stylish, upper class New York kind of lifestyle. That was something I very much wanted for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved to New York and I saw how much those things actually cost. And I was like, no.
And if you were wondering, does this movie, was it actually filmed in New York? Because there, a lot of people film elsewhere as New York. You can tell it's really New York City because every apartment they're in, whenever they walk, it sounds like the floorboards are crying for help.
Yes. Yeah, this is very much. Well, Adrian, is it
Line? Maybe? I think Line.
He did a whole series of he did 9.5 Weeks, was a very New York movie.
Correct.
I hate to use the phrase the secondary character. That's such a cliche, but yeah, I mean the setting is pretty much a background character in and of itself.
And it's attuned to the plot of this motion picture. I mean, the big existential struggle for Dan, or as I like to call him, cinema's greatest villain, is that it has been proposed and it is actively in motion for him, his wife, and his child to move to, quote unquote, the country. They're going out of the city. And that's going to take him away from all these exciting things that are no longer exciting for him. And so, as a way to basically, crash his own car, as it were, is he decides I can't actively do anything because I'm too scared. So I'm going to inactively do it by just having an affair and spinning the wheel and seeing how it goes. And it goes very poorly for him and everyone else.
So here's the thing. When this movie came out, people had, it made a fortune. And This was a very, if the internet had been a thing, this would have been part of the discourse for a very long time.
Yeah.
It was, this is going to scare, this is going to scare people away from casual sex because of AIDS. It's going to scare people away from casual sex because a person, is going to go crazy on them. Really did neither of those things, to be honest.
No. It seems that human beings' biological desires go beyond a mere film's worth of evidence that having an affair is a bad idea.
Well, you've got the notion of people thinking, well, that's not going to happen to me. I know how to handle these things. And yet, I think the way a lot of other filmmakers answered this movie was that women like Alex Forrester, Glenn Close's character, are sexy because they're crazy. So they will, they'll quote unquote do anything. If you get my drift, it's exciting. Yeah. It's on the edge. It's, let's put it blankly, it's crazy pussy. And there's a lot of movies that, especially well into the 90s, that this was a thing. You got tied up in it and you had the time of your life, and then you could just walk away at the end with no problem.
Right. Yes. And Michael Douglas, kept going into this well. I think, culminating to a certain degree in Basic Instinct, which would come out 4 years later. And
about that, about 4 or 5 years later. But
I couldn't remember if it was 91 or 92, but it's.
But my theory is, you're supposed to think this is his first time that he is stepping out on his marriage and getting involved in someone. I don't think it is.
Damn it, Gina, you fucking read my mind. You're absolutely right.
I don't think it is his first time. I don't think it's his 5th time. I don't think it's his 10th time. And you know why? Because he's just too smooth about hitting on her. And I mean, she's flirting with him pretty heavily.
Oh, she is definitely giving all signal. Like, there's practically an airport of blinking lights landing him into her bed, but he's not like trapped in her fucking tractor beam.
Right. He doesn't look like he's, thinking even for a split second, should I be doing this? Or, feeling like, well, maybe I shouldn't. He's like, they just make a beeline right for each other. And I just don't think that if this is your first time cheating on your spouse, you're going to be like, say, you're going to be a little nervous. You're going to, have some reluctance,
Right.
and then it's like, well, what's the worst that can happen? Turns out quite a lot.
Quite a lot. Yeah, you don't have fun in the park with your dog if this is your first affair.
That's another thing. One thing I love, and I feel like kind of skipping to the end of what the interesting thing that's happened since the somehow 35 odd years since this movie came out.
Sure.
Is the perception of who's the villain here has made a complete 180.
Mm-hmm.
And it is Michael Douglas.
Yes.
Because he is 100% leading her on.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. There's no playing going on here. He's telling her what, like, it comes out like she kind of knows he's married and everything, but he's basically saying like, well, she's not here and we are, and it's nothing we're doing is illegal. So if we want to enjoy this moment, we absolutely can. And it's completely something that he has a hand on this wheel. It's not happening to him. He is helping it happen.
Right. If they had, met and went and had their fling and he went home and didn't call her or anything again, fine. It's not a nice thing he did, but this happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But they spend the whole weekend together. They go out on a date. Just like you don't go out on a date with the person you just fucking.
Yeah.
You don't. That's how you send a mix. You shouldn't even do that with somebody that you're not cheating on someone else with. If you have a friend with benefits, don't take them out on a date because that's sending a mixed message.
Right.
And that's how things quote unquote get weird. And everybody has been there. Mm-hmm. But you should not, either you've been that person or you've been the person that's been done to. Yes. And all it does is just muddy the water and make things complicated and hurt feelings. But he's having breakfast with her. They're taking the dog out together. They are acting like a couple.
Yes. He's giving her every indication that this is not ending. In fact, he's basically replacing his wife with Alex. And He's like, he doesn't want to take the dog out when she tells him to. He takes the dog out with Alex to have fun.
Right.
What are you doing? What the fuck what is happening to you?
And I don't know. I at the time, I think that the audience was supposed to believe, well, he told her he was married.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but... Yeah. But he's sure not acting like a married man.
No, it's like they fell in the bed. He's like, wow, this was great, but it was a terrible mistake. I'm so very sorry. I shouldn't have done this. All apologies. I'm a bad person. Please don't contact me again. and backed out the door. You have to wonder, does the rest of this movie happen? Because he pretty much like shows her a window into their lives together and then goes, whoa, where'd you get this idea? From the ideas you gave me, dipshit.
Exactly. It's like, gee, we spent a whole weekend together. We went on a date. I cooked for you. You slept at my house. I'm sorry. Is that not what people in a relationship do?
Yeah. I mean, it extends over to a fucking Monday. Like, just... You got a 3-day goddamn sex weekend. Great for you. But don't think there isn't going to be repercussions the longer you're in this, you're dating this woman now, right? It's more, if it was just sex that was so good you had to splash faucet water on your face. Gina, what the fuck is happening there?
I feel like some of that was a little improvised.
I guess, but... Then they kept it in the movie. Like, this is like this sex is so good. I need to drip some faucet water on our faces and lick it off. Like,
hey, have you ever had New York City tap water?
Oh, they say that's why the pizza crust and the bagels are so great.
Delicious.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You know what? You won me over. Point Gina Radcliffe in New York City.
But guess maybe if you want to be charitable towards Dan as a character,
Okay.
is that
All right.
maybe he was enjoying, kind of the excitement of, a new relationship a little too much.
Sure. Yes.
But he is still, this is still his fault. I mean, we could just, put that right out there. It's still his fault.
It's entirely his fault. And as you said, like the conversation around this film has flipped so 180. I started watching my new habit of watching the Siskel and Ebert review of the movies that we cover.
Mm-hmm.
And Gene Siskel starts because he's introducing the movie. And it starts with, quote, "A guy makes one mistake." Fuck it. Gene Francis, I'm assuming, Siskel. This is not a mistake.
This is a lot of mistakes.
To paraphrase Wayne's World, it isn't even several mistakes that one would necessitate a mistake rack. This is a lot. This is intentional fucking behavior. And at the end of it, my conclusion is that Alex is Frankenstein's monster, but Dan is Frankenstein. He creates this ambulatory, motion-filled homunculi of dead emotional body parts that she has from God knows what, from emotional, sexual abuse. List off what the panorama of conditions that might have led her to start making these decisions. And a lot of them would be things out of her control. And possibly, maybe that's why she's kind of attracted to Dan, because it looks like Dan might have it fucking together. Turns out Dan will gaslight a motherfucker at the drop of a dime.
Oh, yeah. And that's why I think this is not his first time at the infidelity rodeo.
Yes.
I think because he when she starts, harassing him, I mean, it is harassment, but
yes,
again, he has it coming.
Yeah.
He seems more annoyed than anything else. Whereas I think most men would be kind of scared from Jump Street. Like he's more like, how dare you? The last 6 women I fucked behind my wife's back didn't do this.
This isn't how this goes, is the implication there, even though he doesn't say it out loud. We have sex, we use quote unquote one another, and then I walk away scot-free back into my boring marriage where I'm married to Ann Archer. Like, fucking A. Who is tired of shacking up with Ann fucking Archer?
Well, she's had a kid now, whatever.
Yes. It is so fucking tired. It is so goddamn basic what is required of him and how angry he gets at the very idea that sex will be denied him tonight because his child was scared and crawled into bed with him. Well, put it on ice for a night and then try your luck tomorrow. What the fuck is your problem?
It's like, that's the first time you sex has been interrupted because your child needed something. She's like 5. That's a way of life at that point.
Oh my God. And he's so annoyed he has to take the dog out. Like, you made a decision to have a dog. You can hear one in the background right now.
Dog's like, that's right.
God damn it, I want to go out.
but yeah, I mean, the best way you could tell how much public opinion has changed about this movie is that even the YouTube commentariat is on Alex's side, which is amazing when you think about it.
I feel this way about a lot of this shit, that people make these giant leaps these days, and we're in the middle of it. We could talk about Turning Red, but it's so fucking ridiculous. It's out of town. Let's go to a recent edition. You've seen it. I have not. And that is Adrian Lyne's most recent movie, which is coming out on Hulu. And as of the time you hear this, you can watch it. And that's the Deep Water.
Deep Water.
Deepwater. It almost sounds like that one movie where Marky Mark is on an oil rig.
Yeah, there's like a lot of movies called Deepwater, Dark Water, Deep Rising.
Deep Rising. When are we going to do Deep Rising? That's an erotic thriller if you like tentacles.
I was going to say, is that an animals attack movie?
It is totally an animal attack movie.
Because it's 100%. It's like a big fucking octopus or something, right?
Yes, it's a kraken of some kind. I don't know that you ever really see the total of it. And then spoiler alert for the end. They land on what appears to be Monster fucking Island at the end. Right. I love that movie. I own that movie. That movie's kind of fucking awesome. It's I don't know. Oh boy. We have our slots filled out, but you know what? We might have to make a change.
It's always next year. That's
true. It's not going anywhere. No one talk about that movie until April 2023. But what were we talking about again?
Deepwater.
Deepwater. So there's this eruption that started to happen today as we're recording this, the day before this will be heard, where people are like, there's not enough nudity in this movie. Is there any nudity in the movie?
Very little. Very little. It's a really, for an erotic thriller, it is extraordinarily restrained. And not restrained in the sexy way.
Right. And who did the restraining? Like, was it originally supposed to be so restrained and they pulled back?
Well, I'll tell you what, it was based on a Patricia Highsmith novel.
Oh.
So I am going to guess there were not too many graphic sex scenes in that.
Sure.
So
the queen of restrained sex would be Patricia Highsmith. That is for certain.
So I think
that's interesting.
I don't really know why they couldn't have put I mean, there are like a couple scenes, but nothing really like, like outrageous. So I would say the sex scene in Fatal Attraction was far more graphic.
Right. And oh my God, she looks so good in this movie.
She does. She's got that crazy blonde hair, the crazy curly hair.
At one point I wrote down in my notes, if you took out the sexual politics element of it and it was just a competition between the two actresses to see how wide their hair could get, this would be the greatest movie of all time. It's just Ann Archer and her are just in a race to see if they can get it past their shoulders. It's pretty wild. Also, everyone looks fucking awesome.
Even Michael Douglas. Even Michael Douglas.
This isn't his sexiest, but
this was this is weird. In the 70s, he was this like sensitive guy with like the beard and the flannel shirt, and he was like always kind of coded as a gentle feminist type, and then he like hit his 40s and it's like sleazeball time.
I think the sleazeball he always was became a marketable thing for him to be. And there are very few movie stars who I think cultivate an idea of what you want of them on screen to be. I kind of want to see this person suffer. And Michael Douglas does this very well.
I was thinking about it. Do we have a contemporary version of Michael Douglas? I mean, would it be Spader?
Sure. Spader's come all the way around from asshole who will force you to give him a blowjob in a hot tub just for cocaine, to just won't let you get together with the girl you want to be with, to Michael Douglas wannabe, to buttoned up and spanking is my thing, to I just want to hear him talk. I just want to hear Spader talk.
Yeah, I feel like James Spader would be more of the harasser than the harassee in a situation like this.
Yes. But there are movies that are in the bullpen with Spader in there that kind of fit that role. Dream Lover is probably his closest that I can think of off the top of the dome, but I am flummoxed for a single person who in movie after movie after movie, you kind of want to see them go through it with the hopes that maybe they won't get out of it this time. And I think Michael Douglas is that person. And it's just a weird personality thing where whether it's The Game or I'm trying to think of now everything's flown out of my head. But he over and over and over again, he would take on film roles that you kind of weren't sure you wanted to root for the guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like in Fatal Attraction, as we as has been long known, the original ending was more of a tragedy. And you mentioned at the beginning was more of a tragedy that it would have made him pay for what he did.
Yes.
In which she commits suicide and somehow stages to make it look like he did it. And then, of course, because test audiences always know what's best for these things, they were like, no, she has to be the one to suffer. So they turn to some sort of like, the only thing I don't like is the ending. Because it's a little too, Jason rises out of the watery grave for one last, attack. And I think it's corny. She's not a monster. She's a person.
Right. Yes. It's very odd that you're looking at her underwater for nearly 75 seconds. And then she gets up and gasps for air as if she hasn't swallowed a ton of water up in that point. Like, again, I'm not going to the movies for reality, but what I particularly like about the alternate ending is all the sequences of the police showing up, him getting hauled away to jail and saying, call this lawyer. And if it ended there, I would have been like, that's perfect. The problem with it is it continues on. And then Ann Archer is like looking up the lawyer's name, finds a tape in which, Glenn Close is admitting to what her plan is going to be. And then she's like, I saved the day. Like, no. If she had found that, listened to it, and then burned it, that would have been an ending, baby.
Yeah. And I mean, I do like when Glenn Close shows up at the house. Mm-hmm. And I like when she's, kind of just at this point, she's just gone. Yeah. And she's like talking to Ann Archer. She's kind of like, scraping the knife against her leg. And I'm like, and that's like really unsettling how she doesn't realize she's cutting herself. And like the Ann Archer's like, I'm just going to stand here and let her talk. It's okay.
Maybe she'll run out of steam. You never know.
That part is good. But when it turns into, a knockdown drag out and like, Michael does like, like running across the house. I'm like, oh man, fuck you. I wish that knife just went right into your forehead. Honest to God. I mean, they could kill Alex off afterwards. Fine, whatever. But I just hate that it ends with everything's all right now.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. This woman terrorized you and traumatized our child because I couldn't keep it in my pants. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. The other movies where we like to see him suffer a lot is War of the Roses. Oh. I would put in there. Basic Instinct I would put in there.
Disclosure.
Yes, Disclosure. If you ever wanted to see virtual reality the way it was meant to be, hands reaching through digital filing cabinets, run out and see Disclosure. Oh my God. And Falling Down, I would also put in there as well. And
Falling Down, at least he's not playing this kind of like upper class sleazeball.
Right. Yes. But he is like so entitled.
Well, yes.
That part of it is that he can't help himself but make the worst constant decisions. He's broken, but this stuff happens to him. But as Justified has taught us, if everywhere you go, you meet an asshole, maybe it's not everyone else,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then, The Game being another one. Even Wonder Boys, I think, qualifies to a certain degree because he's not a great person. And that movie kind of lets you know that if bad things are happening to him, chances are he brought it on. And,
right. And he 100% brings this on.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. He has love in an elevator, living it up while it's going down.
I love those apartments where the elevator opens right into the living room. God damn, that's the classiest shit I've ever seen. I've lived in New York for like 17 years now. I've never been to anywhere where that has been a thing. I've been to one or two loft apartments. Never had the whole like the elevator opens right into the apartment. I love it.
I feel like they shorten every apartment now to avoid that from happening.
Yeah, it's not, and yeah, most time people don't live in them. They're like open plan offices, wank, and but when I was a teenager, before I years before I actually moved to New York, I used to fantasize about living in New York, and I'm like, that's where I'm going to live. I'm going to be I'm going to be a world famous novelist. That's what my apartment's going to look like. I'm going to have an elevator that opens right into my living room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I live way out in Brooklyn.
Well, what are you gonna do? The world changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie. Oh boy. What a wild trip. I was impressed. Like, this movie has a lot of practical locations, but line is very much playing with the whole black and white of it all. Whenever you see white and whenever you see black is definitively planned out. Like, I think the park scene is like, and when they're out in the country are the only times you really see natural colors for the most part. Otherwise, you're mostly seeing versions of white and versions of black.
Right.
And oh my God, Glenn, I hate to be horny on May.
No, you don't.
Well, Glenn Close is so fucking hot in this movie.
She is. And it's interesting because she had not at that point and has rarely since played overtly sexual characters.
Right.
And I remember when she was cast in this, it was kind of like Glenn Close.
I feel like Glenn Close had the main problem with Glenn Close has always been a haircut. And in here, she's just allowed to be wild and proud and out there. And she has the same haircut in the semi-erotic thriller that came out before this, where she's a lawyer. The
one with Jeff Bridges?
The Jagged Edge.
Yes.
Which is a good movie. I don't know that I would. It's more of a legal thriller that just has two sexy people in it.
I can't. I think we mentioned this before, though. I can't watch it now and not think of the Harvey Birdman parody with Boo Boo.
Well, I think if we talk about it, we talk about both of them, and conflate them.
Dowels.
Did you get that thing I sent you? What were we talking about again? Fatal Attraction.
There are people who want us, who very much would like us to do a Harvey Birdman side project.
I think for the size of the episodes, it's very appealing. I mean, I thought our music videos got low downloads, but they've risen since. They don't appeal right away. I don't know. But now you can actually watch Harvey Birdman whenever you want if you have HBO Max. Like, it's right fucking there.
Yes.
For a while, it was harder to watch. Okay. Jesus Christ. The way this man just refuses to accept the consequences of his behavior is astounding. It's fucking astounding.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what makes it hard to sympathize with him is, again, he's not sorry. He doesn't feel bad about what he's done. He's mad.
Yes.
He's annoyed at her.
She fucked up his system. And that's what this is. It's a system of getting him off.
And that's why I think that he's done this many, many times before.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean, it's weird. Like when the before and after, because Fatal Attraction, it's kind of become a bit of a pop culture joke that, you're going to have a fling with someone, it's going to turn into a fatal attraction situation. Before that, it was Play Misty for me.
Sure.
But at least in that, he wasn't married. You know,
Exactly.
he just wanted to mess around, and you know, she didn't quite get that because she was nutso. But here, I mean, it's entirely his fault. But I do wonder, you know, in the before and the after, if men who, you know, do have a fling are more likely to react to, you know, wow, this woman won't leave me alone, with fear rather than annoyance now, because, okay, this could get bad for me really quickly.
Yes. And they, to the film's advantage, one of the things I think it does very, very well is constantly raise the stakes between their interpersonal relationship, in that it's not just, you know, this marriage that's on the line. He reacts physically and she reacts physically. She's slicing her wrist. He's choking her out against the wall. Like, there is a serious problem. It's not simply that she is dynamite. He's also dynamite, and they've lit fuses next to one another.
Right.
Both of them are going to explode. If this, like, it's what's also a bad part of the second ending, the one that was seen in theaters, is that it falls on Anne Archer to solve the problem, when she could have easily just shot both of them and lived a happy fucking life.
Or, you know, just grab the kid and leave. Like, here, you two figure it out.
Yeah, you have fun, you two.
Yeah, you know, I mean, just you know, let me know when it's safe for me to come back. You know, either one of you will call or the police will call me. It's, you know, I'll just, you go, you hash this out between the two of you. I wanted to go over something real quick in regards to casting of this.
Okay.
Among the, like, because Glenn Close wasn't thought of someone who, you know, exuded sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
This was someone, Adrian Lyne wanted her specifically, but the producers of the film did not want her. They wanted either Melanie Griffith, Jessica Lange, Michelle Pfeiffer, Susan Sarandon, or Deborah Winger. Also auditioning for the role, Kirstie Alley. But Adrian
Thank you,
Lyne,
Cheers, for making this not happen.
But Adrian Lyne basically said, let me get the two of them together. I will show you that this will work. And you know, they got together and they had the thing that so many erotic thrillers lack, and that is actual genuine chemistry.
Yeah. Yes. A chemistry that I don't think you could replicate in any way, shape, or form. Yet, could Jessica Lange have pulled this off? Probably.
Oh, I'm sure she could.
Probably.
I'm sure Susan Sarandon could have. You know, Deborah Winger probably could have. You know,
Pfeiffer. I think if Pfeiffer was in a weird position at this exact moment, but she's entirely capable of giving this level.
I think Michelle. The only thing that would have held Michelle Pfeiffer back, I think she would have been a little too young for this character at the time.
And you're adding another weird power dynamic to an already weird power dynamic.
I like that. I think it works in a really interesting way. The fact that Alex is about his age, and she's also, you know, her own woman. You know, she doesn't want him for the money. You know, she just wants him. Well, I have no idea, but you know,
again, like, it's.
I mean, there's
she
millions
does all
of men
sorts of crazy things, but these are the the tracks were always there. Like, this was going to happen, and ultimately, he is the compelling factor that is constantly pushing her farther and farther and farther to do wilder and wilder things. It's not of her own volition that she is dreaming up some of these scenarios. He is pushing her in such a way where the only way she can be heard is to do something that's fucking nuts. Now, that is an explanation and not an excuse.
No, and don't anybody don't say that. Yeah, this is, you know, the things that she did are you know, are good and you know, more than you know, and easily excused. They are not.
Right. Yeah.
But he has a very, you know, large part of the responsibility for why this happened.
Yes. All right. We don't really have a death venture for the most part.
Yeah, just getting shot. Big deal.
Yeah, who cares? So what we're going to do is choose our own scary roller coaster adventure. If you were forced to go on a scary roller coaster ride and you had to pick one, which one would it be? Child kidnapping afternoon from Fatal Attraction, fingering Reese Witherspoon in Fear,
God,
the Hulk coaster from The House on Haunted Hill, or any scene from Roller Coaster, a real movie starring George Siskel as a safety inspector trying to stop a mad bomber. And then in one scene, Sparks plays a concert at Magic Mountain.
Oh, shit. Well, I had an answer. Now you mentioned Sparks.
Now, he doesn't get to listen to Sparks.
Oh.
He's searching for the mad bomber, who's played laconically by Timothy Bottoms in a role which says, I'm on downers today.
Well, in the scenario with the child, am I the child or am I the kidnapper?
You're definitely the child.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't like roller coasters now. I definitely don't think I would have liked them at age 5. So yeah, I guess I'm going to have to go with George Siskel.
Yeah. This is a tough one because I love the Hulk coaster at Islands of Adventure, but that one seems like a feat of engineering that is an impossible thing. I don't like Mark Wahlberg, and I don't want to be fingered by him on a roller coaster or anywhere else.
Not even while that nice cover of Wild Horses is playing. That's really pretty. It's very romantic.
Oh, so romantic. Fear has to be now put into the bullpen.
Yeah, I think that has been that was suggested to us at some point. We're gonna do this again.
Well, yeah, this is a keeper, everyone. This one's a keeper. The only problem with it is we're watching 2-hour movies. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Roller Coaster as well. This way I can have George Siegel's mustache. At some points, he's wearing a straw hat, and he's a business person. A straw hat in public.
And Timothy Bottoms is nice to look at, if I recall.
Not in this. He looks bloated.
Oh.
He looks like he just came out of a drunk tank every time you look at him.
No eye candy, no Sparks? What the fuck, man? Come on.
Yeah.
What are you doing to me here? This is the worst
you get to watch Sparks when you watch the movie, but
well, all right.
As far as I remember, George Siskel spies it, but they're all in walkie-talkies trying to find Timothy Bottoms. Yeah, Helen Hunt's in that movie as a tween.
I was gonna say she had to be like a fetus.
Yeah, she's really young. It's her first movie. Roller Coaster, everybody. I don't think we'll ever cover Roller Coaster.
Yeah, if we start doing disaster movies, that's good. That's just gonna be a whole other thing.
Yeah, that real. Then I feel like we'd be stepping on Disaster Girl's toes. It's a whole schmear. Here, I feel like, well, we're stepping on the toes of your other podcast, but we didn't know that when we started doing this.
Well, that's okay. This is as long as we don't overlap over the same episodes.
Yeah,
over the same movies. And even then, there's always something new to say.
There's a specific lane for you guys. So I feel like you do very good versions for the most part, and we've dipped into Mother May I Sleep with Danger.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely do
worst version.
We do try to stick with movies that are generally regarded to be good. So.
So, I mean, and we haven't even touched the straight to video boom of movies.
We didn't do Patrick. We didn't do a single Shannon Tweed movie.
I know.
Unacceptable.
And Bromley is doing a thing now where he's going to watch every single one of her movies. So I think we will definitely have to have him on for an episode for a movie. Maybe he doesn't cover enough this movie. We'll have to see. But I've had a lot of fun talking about these movies. They're different in every single way, shape, or form. I wish there were funny details in this movie, but everything you see on screen was planned. So
yeah, everything. Everybody looks great. Everything is very tasteful.
That party that they're at for the book launch, there are people who are just, oh my God, the choices that were made. But it's it's a dinner party in 1987. What are you gonna fucking do? I was much more consumed by licking faucet water off of each other's faces.
All I gotta say is New York tap water. New York tap water.
This
Try
is the only acceptable use of sex in water is New York water, faucet water.
Well, they're
on
not
your
like,
face.
Putting it on their parts, they're just licking it off each other's faces.
Yeah.
Also, use a goddamn condom.
For fuck's sake.
If you absolutely positively must step out on your partner, use protection. My God,
the audacity of
should not even have to tell you this.
Something like, fuck you, Dan. Go to hell.
Should not even have to tell you this.
I really want him to rot in jail.
I know. Fuck you, test audiences. What do you know?
I know. They denied us something beautiful. But that pretty much does it. Don't worry, folks. The body count. Wait a second. Hold on. There's so much more to do. This will not be a heavily edited episode. First off, our art for everything is done by Josh Hollis. Visit him at joshhollis.com. Our music is by Revenge Body. Put in Revenge Body to Bandcamp and you'll find our stuff and his stuff. Great music. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television at thespool.net, where you can, in fact, as of right now, find my review of Deep Water. It's not very good. I suggest if you want to watch an Adrian Lyne erotic thriller, you watch, Fatal Attraction.
Yeah.
And I am on Twitter and Instagram under Gina Does Things.
Do it today, people. Check it out. You can find us on Twitter, and we have a Facebook group. We have Instagram, all the socials. You can email us at killbykillpod@gmail.com. I still have copies of the Stephen King audiobook, and believe it or not, Scream. Please, if you want a free, email me and let me know, and I will give it to you. That's part of my job. And of course, we have on our Patreon, we have this month, we have Mosquito, which is already available, where we talk about the, weirdly enough, fun movie called Mosquito. And at the end of the month, we will be talking over Halloween 6.
You're like, hey, sure will.
Every time I say it out loud, I hope something different's going to happen, but it isn't. We're going to have to watch that fucking movie.
Yeah. I think it'll be enjoyable just to talk about it.
True. And that just about does it. Don't worry, folks. The body count will continue next week. Try to find a little movie called The Unseen from 1980. Good luck with that. Probably our least available motion picture we've ever covered, but we have a great guest and it's a fun conversation and I want you to be a part of it. Until then, for Gina and myself, the body count will continue. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.